from Studio Four8 at Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, Snyder Company Realtors. This is the voice of Sarah Maddock.
This is the voice of Jeffrey Post.
And this is the voice of Todd Waller.
And we wanted to come at you with this new format that we're trying out in the spirit of bringing as much information as we can to the public, to kind of have a longer format to explain some of these topics that we're so familiar with, and introduce you to ourselves. And
do they even know we're realtors?
we are realtors.
Okay.
That should be set up front, right?
Yep.
Realtors with a capital R.
Exactly. Realtors with a capital R, and we're in a marketplace that I think most folks in the United States would know about. What's the marketplace, Jeffrey?
A2.
A2.
That doesn't help them out. It's Ann Arbor, but if you're on the inside track, it's
Gotcha.
A2. It's shorter.
Inside track, down low.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very good. Very good. I like that.
The greater Ann Arbor area.
Greater Ann Arbor
because
area.
Unless you could see us,
Yeah.
you'd hold up your right hand, which is the mitten,
Yeah.
because we're the mitten state, and then you could just point to where we are and what we cover. But
And it's great to have that portable map with you.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, right?
I got the lower and upper peninsula
Exactly.
right here.
Specifically, our office is in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but we definitely service the areas around us in our county, Washtenaw County. I would say to the east of us, Wayne County, to the north of us, Livingston County,
Yep.
and various other places. But we wanted to explain to you today, what is Studio Four8? Now, I think everybody has heard of Berkshire Hathaway. I would imagine most people have heard of
Absolutely.
Berkshire Hathaway.
That's Uncle Warren's thing, right?
Uncle Warren, that's right, Todd. So Berkshire Hathaway and Prudential Real Estate had a baby. No. Berkshire Hathaway looked around, they wanted to create a real estate brand, a permanent real estate brand, and they looked at the Prudential real estate business and said, this is already a well-established brand. This is the caliber of agents, of offices, of homes that we want to represent. And they worked out a deal, and here we are.
Berkshire Hathaway
HomeServices.
right?
Exactly.
We said that together.
It was beautiful.
It's cool.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Okay.
So our brokerage is Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices. That is our international brand. That's our national brand, right? And then within that, here in the local level, we are in the office of Snyder Company. That's our franchise name, right? So it's Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, Snyder Company Realtors.
It's a mouthful.
It's a haiku.
Yeah.
It's literally
All-encompassing
a haiku.
haiku.
It's
all by itself.
17 syllables.
But
I've counted.
you must acknowledge that the Snyder part of that
That's right.
represents Nick and Sharon Snyder,
Yep.
our fearless leaders who've been doing this business forever, know everything about this business, have done every kind of transaction,
Yep.
and they're kind of why we're all here.
That's right.
Hands down. Holy smokes.
I think we're really lucky to work with a local broker who knows the ins and outs. I mean, she started as an agent
Yeah.
in Ann Arbor and
Yep.
worked her way up to manager, worked for several different local brokerages in the community before creating her own, then became Prudential Snyder and Company, and here we are, Berkshire Hathaway Home. So within that overarching umbrella,
Yep.
we three did pretty much what we're doing right now.
Laughing a lot?
We laughed a lot. We were
Yeah.
in the same office together,
Yep.
right, for years and years, listening to each other on the phone, for better or for worse,
Yes. Yes.
covering one another's business when we went on vacation, and just getting to know one another personally and professionally.
It started as a friendship.
Absolutely.
Hands
It was
down.
all a friendship.
That's right.
Besides sharing an office, if you are fortunate enough to get along with everybody and have a friendship, the friendship in a business sense then becomes a partnership. And we have a great partnership. I mean, a really great partnership.
Absolutely.
Unique to the industry, wouldn't you say?
Oh,
To some degree.
I totally agree, and I think that's partly because really we took it slow, right? I mean, we got to know each other really well, and worked unofficially so much, handling one another's clients when we were on vacation, for example. That by the time we looked at each other one day, and that was 2016, if you remember, that
I
was in
do.
Dallas,
Oh, yeah.
Texas. We
It was
looked
in
at each other and went, we need to make this official.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't we just
What have we been
get
doing?
an LLC and do whatever it takes to make it official? But
Yep.
I think we took it really slowly. We weren't just setting out to make a team and grow as fast as possible and make as much money. I mean, it was never about
No.
that. It was never about that.
Well, in a true partnership, everybody's equal. And so everybody is a share, everybody has an investment, everybody has skin in the game. It's not one person has more than the other. We're all equal. And that's a level playing field. That's a great way to start.
Yeah, and it's unique in the real estate space in the sense that when you talk about real estate teams, this is Todd getting a little bit philosophical, real estate teams in general have two major setups, right? There's the hero minion, where you've got a personality, and they are the rainmaker, and they've got a bunch of, for lack of a better term, underlings or agents working for them that are doing their bidding. And so everything that the minions do goes underneath the name of that hero, both in marketing as well as attribution in the multiple listing system. And then there's like the mom and pop game, where you've got literally mom and dad or a couple,
husband and wife,
that has come together and said, we're a good real estate crew, we live well together, we work well together, and so let's just do this thing. And again, it's personality driven. So if they add other agents to their team, it's underneath mom and dad or the couple's name.
Has there ever been a brother sister?
There may have been.
It makes sense.
Or cousin uncle?
Oh boy, now I'm having Arrested Development flashbacks, and I don't want to go there.
Pet owner?
We do see dogs on billboards.
We've seen photos.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And when we decided to undertake this, we quickly realized that the kind of team we wanted to build, where we were individual agents who maintained their book of business, maintained our relationships with the clients that we had, and while we pool our money in many ways, we're not pooling all of our assets and then dividing. I mean, it was kind of difficult to structure.
Yeah.
I mean, even legally in the state of Michigan, this kind of thing doesn't come up very often. You don't often get three people who are not related or married who get along the way that we do and want to do business this way. And so that was an interesting thing to find out, that it was actually not that easy legally to structure, but we've made it work.
We've made it work. And it sales, and people get it. You need to tell, because it was at your house. No. Who said that we Studio Four8?
It was in my kitchen.
It was in your kitchen.
That's right.
It was in your kitchen.
That's right.
Because you were saying we cover Wayne, Livingston, we cover all these different counties, which happen to have the same zip
code. That's right.
Or at least the beginnings of the zip code, right?
The 4-8.
The 4-8.
Yeah.
Right. So never doubt the efficacy of having a bottle of wine and some creative people standing around trying to come up with names or something creative to attach to a venture that you're going down. So that was a fun evening.
The power of Cabernet.
The power of Cabernet, literally. Not just the colors of the brand, but then also the wine. That's just beautiful right there.
I think the 4-8 part came after the studio part.
I believe so.
Because, and I love the word studio in our team name, because it really does highlight what we're trying to bring to the market, right? What we're trying to bring, because the real estate industry can be a little outmoded, it can be a little bit stagnant, and there's lots of changes of tech, but I don't think there's a lot of room for thinking outside the box for most people, and that isn't us at all, right? I mean, we really wanted to express that you can bring creativity to this industry, and so we noodled around on different names, like how do we, are we artists, are we, anyway, and then we came up with the studio, which I think
when you say that word, it makes you think of a creative space.
Yes,
it makes you, maybe because your brain goes like art studio or something like that, but I think we all thought it makes it feel like a creative space, and that's what we wanted it. It also doesn't say, we didn't do the Todd, Sarah, Jeff team,
right?
Yes,
I think sometimes you hear the word team and you're immediately put in a box.
Correct.
You've heard me say before, I told my kids not to call me a realtor because I feel like that definition is very single and not dimensional. But I agree with you. I think the studio part was really key to people, and a little bit of a work in progress.
Right.
That's right. And a collaboration, right? I mean, you can have a studio or a gallery or some space like that where you have many people coming in and working, and that was just, that's exactly how we are doing this.
And the other bit that I like about utilizing the word studio is it does have a real estate connotation to it as well, right? So you talk about a studio apartment or a studio space above some street level retail. So you do have an aspect of real estate inside of that creative space inside the studio.
Are you saying that like kitchen 4/8 wouldn't have worked?
We could have tried it. I mean,
Lower
it
level
flown.
4/8.
We could have gone straight to mansion for it.
Hey, well,
Oh.
there's a lot of different,
Tear down 4/8.
Oh no.
wellness area 4/8.
Investment for it.
Wellness area. Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe these should be tabs on our webpage.
Could.
Oh my gosh.
See, the creativity is happening right
That's
here.
right.
Yeah.
The silliness is
For
happening
better
too.
or for worse.
And we need to make sure that the people listening to this are like, okay, I'm not tuning out now. Their humor is good. It's working for me. But go on about Studio 4/8.
Well, I think that's basically it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely have clients say, well, what does Studio 4/8 mean? What is that? And then when I do a brief explanation, I think people get it right away. They get it. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I love that it like you said, we didn't say the Todd, Sarah, Jeffrey team,
Right.
whatever. And I love that too, because part of our goal here, part of our philosophy is, we're the core, right? We created this thing and we're going to be in it for the long haul. But, part of our goal is to bring on other agents and train more agents to think about business the way we do, from a client-centric focus, from a service attitude, and just, I don't know, all those things that give us the warm fuzzies. And
Well, and I'm going to use the word team, so forgive me on that because I just sort of X'd the
You
word
dissed
team.
it?
I dissed it.
yeah.
But part of the philosophy, I think, of our studio is the power of a team. You know,
correct.
Yep.
each of us individually brings a lot to the table. We like to think we bring a lot to the
Yep.
table
That's right.
for sellers and buyers.
And we do.
And we do, but at the same time, when what's behind you is this rock solid
Yes.
team,
Yep.
this, let me change that, this rock solid group
Yes.
of individuals that that can help shape perspective on a property or listing that we have. Call out things that we might not have seen or might not have called out, or the owner of the property might not have
Yeah.
seen or heard. It's just multiple, when people say, let's get lots of eyes on it.
Right.
We have lots of eyes on
Yes,
it.
Yep.
yeah.
And that's unique because the hero minion model
Yeah.
doesn't happen there.
That's right.
The husband wife, maybe there's a balance type thing, but
And this is the thing that I absolutely love about Studio 4/8. It is not about the ego. The hero minion, the mom and pop, that's ego driven.
Yes.
That's name driven, right? It's not the Todd Show. This is Studio
It's
4/8. Sometimes I'd like it to be, but no, we don't want that. But it's not an ego-driven stance. We do want to take care of our clients in the best way possible, but we're also stepping back to say, you know what? If I can't be the one that meets my client's needs at this point because my calendar has me over there, hey buyer, I've got 4 other folks that I can check on their calendars to see if this works. So the strength, I would argue, with Studio 4/8 comes in being able to recognize where our limits are as individuals, and then saying I also have folks that have the ability to step in, not to hand you off, but to make sure that your needs are met in a timely fashion for you. And I just absolutely love that fact. Like, it's great to be able to have that conversation with buyers and go, oh.
and let's not forget that the rest of the group that makes up our team,
Yeah.
Kayla and Dan,
Yep.
none of us are the same.
Yes.
Age-wise, experience-wise,
Yep.
background.
Yep.
We all know that in real estate, very few people begin in real estate
True
Right.
story.
out
Right.
of college or any other
Right.
thing like that. They were always coming from somewhere, and that, whatever that passion was that brought them to that,
Right.
that moved them to the real estate world, influences, impacts the way
Right.
that they operate.
Yep.
And so we have this diversity and this
Right.
multifaceted combination, which I don't
I
think
agree.
you get.
And
otherwise.
I mean, I can tell you, and you guys know this, but I so appreciate that it's not, we all have so much experience in this industry and elsewhere, that I know if I have a question about a particular transaction that, I mean, even in 20 years I haven't encountered this,
Right.
I can call Todd and say,
Uh-huh.
okay, tell me about this thing in Livonia again. I don't, you did that deal last month, or, I have an investment question for you because, Jeffrey's kind of our investment guy, right? And I handle a lot of estates, and, so we just all have this great, I call it a Venn diagram of experience.
That's a good way to put
It's
it.
a Venn diagram of
That's a
experience,
very
and I
good way to put
love
it.
that. I love that.
Yep.
I mean, I would, if it were just the Sarah Show, I think I would still do well, and I would always be striving for my clients, but I have like triple the information at my fingertips.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that.
Absolutely.
Well, and you always want to be, I think, you always want to be learning your whole career, your whole life. And you can do that singularly. You can read books. You can listen to podcasts like this one. Please do. And but we learn from each other all the time, which might sound a little cliche, but if you're welcome to, open to learning, that's a great thing.
That's right.
You were, we know each other so well. Tell me Todd's background.
Oh, this is going to be rough.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay. Well, Todd has a nickname for himself.
I do? Myself? No.
Yeah.
My nickname?
He calls himself Bubble Boy.
That's not a nickname that I gave myself. Let's just be very clear.
The Toddster?
Yeah, no.
Todd?
The Todd?
Again, I did not give myself those nicknames.
No. Oh, I didn't say it correctly.
Todd.
Okay, that's a My Blue Heaven reference.
But, okay, so Todd, like myself, is an only child. That's one of the reasons we get along so well, I think.
Yep.
Todd, yeah.
This is good.
Todd's folks live in
Novi.
Thank you.
Yep.
I was going to say Livonia because I was just talking about it. Totally different.
It's all good.
Todd's folks live in Novi, and they are lovely. Todd met his amazing wife, Bianca, in college. And he approached her in a way that I'll allow him to tell you that story. It's really funny.
Wow.
And he won her over somehow. Bianca is from a big Italian family. So for only child Todd to go to big Italian Bianca family, I just love that story so much. Todd has two gorgeous boys. Well, okay, they probably wouldn't want me to say that. But
it's okay.
one is a fresh, newly minted Marine.
True story.
Very proud of him. And the other is a, junior in
high school this year. Yep.
Todd has a background in political science.
That's good. You know him really well.
Yeah, this is kind of frightening, actually.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is
I know,
impressive.
It's pretty good, right?
It's all made up, right?
I hear him talk about himself all the time. How could I not?
I thought we said no egos.
Wow.
What'd I get wrong? Todd likes cars.
Yeah, I'm not a gearhead necessarily. I do enjoy them, but no.
Todd likes bourbon.
There you go.
More than cars.
Jeffrey's not wrong about that. Yeah.
And not together. Not at the same time.
No. Cannot do that together. No, that's correct. No, on point. And let's just be very clear. The nicknames were not self-given. Like, no.
But you haven't really turned them away.
No, I haven't. But at the same time, like, if I push back on them, guess what? They just rise up stronger. So I just kind of live with it.
You are listening to this podcast. You cannot see how red Todd's face is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It kind of hurts.
Todd, do you want to...
But turning the tables.
Do you want to describe Sarah?
I'm going to try to describe Sarah because her level of detail is really frightening. And I don't have that level of detail.
Because I'm a woman.
Yes, and that is not a bad thing.
Go ahead.
So Sarah has a very interesting fact that I don't know many people are very aware of, but like her husband's name is Todd Jeffrey Maddock.
That's right.
Now, I don't know if you're following the bouncing ball. I'll pull out a red crayon and we'll draw the dots. Jeffrey Post is one of our partners, and my name is Todd Waller. So I think Sarah was trying to replicate her husband in the business realm, some way, shape, manner, or form.
I did advocate for it to be called Todd Jeffrey Maddock Realty. Because honestly, we hit all points, and I would just like to say
I think you were looking for partnership and thought, okay,
Yeah.
they have to be Todd and they have to be Jeff. Oh my gosh.
It had nothing to do with our experience.
No,
or
none.
what she was just looking at the names,
Yep.
going, "Oh,
Yep.
they're on the roster. This guy and that guy."
Yeah, that'll work.
That's perfect.
So Sarah and Todd live just south of the city here in Ann Arbor. Have 3 gorgeous daughters. 2 are still wrapping up high school right now. One is one or both are still in robotics.
Neither.
Neither are in
No.
robotics.
They're
I
musicians.
missed that.
They're all in on music now.
They're all in on music.
Yep.
Okay, I missed the robotics bit. My apologies. Todd's a bit of a foodie, so if Todd ever offers you to come over for food, you say yes. You don't question. You just go.
He's a chef.
Basically, he needs to open his own restaurant. And here's the thing.
He cannot open his
Because he opened a store.
Absolutely not.
Sarah will not allow that. So Sarah also is an only child, and so again, that is one of the reasons we kind of get on, because we understand what only children are like. We're strange. We have to have our things, and we don't share very well with others. That's how that kind of goes. And so how Sarah and I met is kind of interesting too, right out of the gate. It's this thing called Twitter. I don't know, it's been in the news recently, but years and years ago when Twitter was like a brand new thing, a bunch of realtors jumped in there and started the real estate space. And some folks had invited me up to Lansing to teach on some technology or whatever. And Sarah and I on Twitter had been sharing, conversations back and forth and involved in national real estate conversations. And when she caught wind that I was going to be in Lansing, she pestered our broker Sharon, my now broker Sharon, and said, "Hey, we got to go to Lansing. You got to see this Todd guy." And so that was the first time that I met Sharon and Sarah in person, actually. Was at that bar camp up in Lansing. So that was the beginning of learning, okay, who's Sarah, who's Sharon, what's Prudential, now what's Berkshire Hathaway.
It's a social media success story.
It kind of is.
Pretty much.
It's one for the ages.
One big tweet.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what we should be called. One big tweet. That's a good one.
Do I get to talk about Jeffrey?
I think
No,
Sarah should
I
talk
think
about
Jeffrey gets to talk
What?
about Jeffrey.
Is that how that goes?
You see
Hold
how
on a
I
second.
mapped that out?
I do see
Jeffrey,
that.
Look at this.
Tell me about yourself.
Tell me about
Well.
yourself.
I don't want to.
Let me interview you. Let me ask you my
Okay.
favorite questions about
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
love it.
First, tell me about your beautiful wife.
Well, you hit it on the head. Beautiful. Let's start with that. Joe is amazing in 1,000 different ways. She's the most selfless person I've ever met in my life. She has the patience of Job and has all these things that make me a better person. She always makes me a better person every single day. Some of this I would start welling up on, so I'm going to avoid that
Just
part
scratch.
of it.
I'll bring in the hook.
We met, actually, funny story, we met in Chicago. She was the marketing director of the Goodman Theater. And I was still doing a little bit of acting at the time. That's a whole nother story and a glass of wine. We met shooting an industrial film. And I really wanted to go out with her, and she thought I really wanted a part in a Goodman play. And so she thought I was like any other actor trying to get an inside track, and I was trying to get a lifetime commitment on stage and screen. So she pushed back a lot. I offered up to do this, that, and the other, and she's like, "Yeah, no, thanks." But
good for her.
I wore her down. She's amazing in so many ways, as I said. And we have 2 beautiful daughters that are now out of the house, which kind of makes us empty nesters, but our kids love coming back, so it's not empty.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is wonderful. So we wouldn't have it any other way. One, Olivia is an independent contracted worker in data analytics, and Julie is getting a graduate nursing degree.
It's amazing.
And in the care business, which we always knew she would be, she's a care bear. She was always going to be in that business. And yeah, that's kind of that's the family part. The real estate part is my family was doing this in the 60s. And I listened to a couple of good table conversations at dinner time to know, hey, that might be something at some point that would be a really fun thing to do. But when you're young, you want to do everything but what your family is doing. So you avoid it like the plague until it becomes, part of what you do. And
so one of the things that my boys constantly harass me about, we'll go out as a family and we'll bump into people. And I'll either start a conversation or the people start a conversation with me, and the boys are like, "You know these people? How do you know these people?" And while that's kind of neat, and I'm talking about myself here, the thing that floors me about Jeffrey, he does know everybody in the city of Ann Arbor. He might be the most well-connected individual in the city of Ann Arbor. So just a heads up, like if you've got a question about some corner or real esoteric question about Ann Arbor, Jeffrey's going to be the guy that gives you that information. His wealth of knowledge is stupidly deep.
I like deep and I like stupidly deep.
There you go.
Both of those. Well, it's funny too, because what happens sometimes, especially if it's in our old neighborhood, and you're taking people around, and all you're thinking driving up to a house is, I went to a birthday party here. I think this is where, I had a sleepover here. This is the best trick-or-treating house in the neighborhood. All that goes through your head. And
I grew up here too, and I don't have that about houses. I have that about stores and restaurants.
Okay.
It's so crazy, to think about. I can go by and think, oh, well, that's where we used to go to the library, and that used to be the bike shop, and that used to be the candy shop. And
are you talking like Drake's?
No, actually, the Baskin Robbins.
Okay.
On Packard Road.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
31
flavors. I don't think we have a Baskin Robbins anymore, do we?
There was one on Stadium, and I'm not sure it's still here.
And the one that was up here on Plymouth is gone.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. R.I.P. Baskin Robbins. Well, guys, and if you've hung in there this long, we really appreciate you getting to know us a little bit. Obviously, give us a call. We'll talk to you about real estate. We'll talk to you about our stupidly deep knowledge of Ann Arbor area.
You're going to have fun.
Yeah.
Regardless, you're going to have fun. And as big a thing as selling a house or buying a house is, as stressful and emotional as it could be, I'd like to think that we make it a really positive, fun experience.
As it should be, when it can be.
Because we approach it that way.
Exactly. I mean, I think we can say this about all three of us, that we love what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we love what we do.
Passionately.
20 years apiece, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it never gets old. Good days, bad days, but in general, we love what we do, and we hope that you can come along for the ride.
We're doing an audio group hug right now.
Thanks again. This is Studio 4/8 at Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, Snyder & Company Realtors. I'm Sarah Maddock.
I'm Jeffrey Post.
And I'm Todd Waller.